If she loves you, why is she ignoring you? You're sitting there. Alone. The room is quiet, but your mind is anything but. It's been 2 days. No message. No reply. Nothing. Just silence. But you can't stop thinking about her. You remember that moment. The way her eyes held yours for just a second longer. The softness in her voice when she said goodbye. It felt close. It felt right. So what happened? Your mind begins to spiral. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe she's lost interest. Maybe I imagined the whole connection. And yet, deep down, something doesn't quite add up. Something about her silence feels intentional, not cruel, not careless, but deliberate. What if this isn't a goodbye? What if this is a question? Because women don't always speak with words. Sometimes, they speak with space. And silence can be the loudest message of all. Now, most men, they panic here. They start overanalyzing every word, replaying every interaction. They text again. They call. They try to fix something that might not even be broken. Why? Because they're uncomfortable with the unknown. They crave certainty, clarity, validation. But here's the thing. Masculine strength isn't revealed in comfort. It's revealed in silence. In what you do when there are no signals, no reassurances, no signs that you're still wanted. So I want to ask you. Who are you in the silence? Because that's what she's trying to see. Not your clever words. Not your charm. But your center. Your core. Do you crumble when attention fades? Do you chase because you're afraid of losing her, or afraid of losing your sense of self? A woman's silence is not always rejection. Sometimes it's reflection. She's watching, not to punish, but to understand. Can you hold yourself when she steps back? This is not a game. This is not about being aloof or pretending not to care. This is about mastery. Mastery of your emotions, your urges, your presence. You're not here to manipulate her. You're here to master yourself. Because the man who stays grounded when others flinch. The man who doesn't need a reaction to feel worthy. The man who holds still when the world goes quiet. That man is rare. And in today's world, rare is magnetic. So if you're in a moment like this right now, staring at your phone, wondering what it means, fighting the urge to send just one more message, breathe. This isn't about what she does next. It's about what you become now. This silence. It's not empty. It's your mirror. And in that reflection, a question. Will you chase, or will you rise? Let's talk about what to do next. Part 1, her silence is a test, not rejection. She feels you even in silence. Let me tell you something most men don't understand. When a woman goes silent, it's not always because she's lost interest. Sometimes, that silence is her way of listening, not to your words, but to your energy. You see, women feel what men try to hide. You don't have to tell her you're insecure. She feels it. You don't need to say you're needy. She senses it. Even before your actions betray it, your presence already has. She's not ignoring you by accident. She's pulling back, consciously or not, to see what remains when her warmth is gone. Not to punish you, but to observe you. Most men fail this test. They panic. They chase. They try to win her back with words, reassurance, explanations. And with every desperate move, they confirm her worst fear, that the confidence she admired was only surface deep. That your strength was an act, not a foundation. But here's the Stoic truth. Stillness speaks louder than scrambling. Calmness is communication. When she steps away and you don't chase. When you hold your posture, your purpose, your peace. She feels it. Even if she never says a word. Because real masculinity doesn't rush to fix what isn't even broken. It doesn't flinch when the room grows quiet. It doesn't seek validation. It radiates presence. The moment you stop needing her attention to feel secure. That's the moment you become magnetic. Let me paint it clearly for you. A man who panics when she's silent. He was never calm to begin with. A man who overtexts, overexplains, overreacts. He's not responding to her, he's reacting to his own fear. But a man who feels her silence. And chooses not to fill it with noise, but with grounded stillness. That's a man who commands respect without saying a word. Women aren't drawn to emotional chaos. They're drawn to emotional clarity. And clarity is born in discipline, not in desperation. So when she pulls away, ask yourself. Are you reaching out because you truly have something to say? Or because you're afraid of being forgotten? That fear is the real enemy, not her silence. Because fear makes you chase. Fear makes you justify. Fear makes you small. But when you stay composed. When you let her create space and you use that space to sharpen yourself. To build. To reflect. To grow. You become rare. And rare is unforgettable. Understand this. Her silence is not a wall. It's a mirror. And what you do in that mirror, panic or poise, defines how she sees you next. So the next time she withdraws, don't ask, why is she doing this? Ask instead, what version of me will she feel in my absence? Because the man who stands still. Who holds his line. Who doesn't flinch when warmth turns to cold. That man doesn't need to be loud. His presence does the talking. And in a world where most men fold, stillness becomes strength. And strength becomes attraction. Part 2, be the wall, not the wind. Lead emotionally, don't react emotionally. When a woman pulls away, when she tests your patience, your boundaries, your emotions, it's easy to take it personally. But listen carefully, she's not doing it to hurt you. She's doing it to feel you. Women test boundaries not out of cruelty, but out of instinct. To feel if the man in front of them is real, or if he's just another illusion held together by attention and comfort. And here's what most men never learn. She doesn't need you to be perfect. She doesn't need you to fix her emotions, solve her confusion, or prove your worth in every moment. She needs to know that when her emotions spiral, you don't. That you don't collapse at the first sign of tension. That you don't bend your standards just to stay liked. That your strength isn't borrowed from her affection, but rooted in your mission. Because if you crumble when she pulls back. If you overextend yourself just to keep her close. If you react to her mood like a leaf blown by the wind. Then you're not a man she can trust. You become the wind, unstable, emotional, always shifting. But if you stand firm. If you stay grounded in who you are. If you can breathe when she storms, and remain composed without coldness. You become the wall. And in that wall, she finds something powerful. Safety. Not in your control, but in your calm. Not in your dominance, but in your discipline. Because emotional leadership isn't about being unfeeling. It's about staying steady, especially when the people around you aren't. It's in the way you respond, not react. In how you hold space, not chase certainty. In how you prioritize purpose, not approval. When you center your life around a mission greater than her mood, you stop being needy, and start becoming magnetic. Let me ask you. If your entire sense of worth is built on her staying close, what happens when she steps away? You collapse. You chase. You lose yourself, and with it, you lose her trust. But if your identity is forged in something deeper, a purpose, a path, a code, then you stay upright no matter who comes or goes. That's what she's watching. That's what she's testing. And that's what separates boys from men. So the next time she withdraws, don't rush to fix it. Don't explode. Don't beg. Don't shrink. Pause. Breathe. Lead. Choose power over panic. Choose presence over performance. Be the man who doesn't waver. Be the man who doesn't chase storms, because he's too busy building a shelter strong enough to withstand them. And here's the paradox. When you stop needing her to feel okay, that's when she feels most drawn to you. Because in a world full of reaction, stillness becomes rare. And rare becomes unforgettable. Be the wall. Not the wind. Let her test, that's her nature. But let your nature be unshakable. Part 3, her chaos needs your calm. Don't control, contain. There will come a moment when her emotions rise like a storm, fast, intense, unpredictable. She might lash out. Withdraw. Cry. Go quiet. Speak in riddles or not at all. And in that moment, your instincts will scream. Fix this. Say something. Make her feel better. But I'm here to tell you the truth, she doesn't need a fixer. She needs an anchor. What she's really asking, often without words, is this. If I fall apart, will you fall apart with me? Because any man can handle a woman's light. But only a strong man can stand still in her chaos. Don't misunderstand. This isn't about tolerating toxic behavior. It's about emotional leadership. When she spirals, she's not testing your logic, she's testing your grounding. She doesn't want you to argue her back into peace. She wants to feel that your peace isn't dependent on her mood. That's what creates trust. Real strength isn't loud. It's not aggressive. It's not control. It's restraint. It's the power to breathe instead of react. To listen without interrupting. To be present without trying to solve. To feel her intensity without being consumed by it. Let me be clear, the moment she senses that her emotions can dismantle you, she loses confidence in your ability to hold space for her. Not because you're unkind. Not because you don't care. But because you're unstable. And women can't surrender to instability. They don't trust men who need constant reassurance. They trust the ones who remain steady even when everything else shakes. So when her fire rises, don't try to put it out. Just stand there, calm, open, grounded. Contain it, don't control it. Let her feel safe in your stillness, not in your solutions. Because here's what most men get wrong. You don't win her heart by out-talking her pain. You earn her trust by holding space for that pain, without needing to fix, to run, or to shrink. And that space. It requires discipline. The discipline to remain calm. To not take her emotions personally. To not mirror her storm with your own. This isn't easy. It takes practice. But it's how strength becomes visible. In a world full of reaction, stillness is power. Calm is rare. And rare is valuable. You want to be rare. Then act rare. Don't explode when she unravels. Don't chase when she pulls away. Don't shrink when she's overwhelmed. Observe. Breathe. Respond with quiet clarity. Because in those moments of chaos, she's not just feeling her own storm, she's watching how you weather it. And if you hold steady, if you lead with calm, if you stay aligned with your own truth, even as hers trembles, then something changes. She feels safe. Not because you made the storm disappear, but because you didn't disappear inside it. That's power. That's presence. That's what makes you unforgettable. So don't try to control her. Contain her chaos, with your calm. Be the steady ground she can stand on when her world shakes. And when you master that, you don't just gain her respect. You earn something far deeper, her trust. Part 4, let her walk, but don't close the door. Don't beg, embody. Let's be honest, when she starts to pull away, every instinct inside you wants to stop her. You want to explain. To convince. To make her remember how good it was, how close it felt, how real it seemed. But here's the truth no one tells you. The more you chase what's walking away, the less of you remains. If she says she needs space, give it. If her energy fades, let it. If she begins to drift, don't chase her shadow. Instead, expand your light. This is where most men lose themselves. They shrink. They cling. They build their lives around someone who's already stepping out of it. But a man who's truly grounded. He doesn't crumble when affection pauses. He doesn't beg to be remembered. He lives in such a way that he cannot be forgotten. You don't prove your worth by forcing a woman to stay. You prove it by becoming someone so whole, so purpose-driven, so locked into his mission, that her absence doesn't derail your direction. Because here's what happens when you don't react with desperation. You create contrast. A powerful, magnetic contrast. While other men flood her inbox, you say nothing. While others seek closure, you build momentum. While others plead to be seen, your silence becomes a signal. Not of indifference, but of inner strength. Let her walk. Not because you stopped caring, but because you finally started leading your own life, not chasing hers. That space you give her, it's not a punishment. It's an invitation. An invitation for her to feel what life is like without your energy. Without your calm, your steadiness, your presence. And if what you had was real, she'll feel the absence. Not in the empty texts, but in the stillness that now echoes where your strength used to be. She won't miss your words. She'll miss your groundedness. She'll miss the way your energy anchored her. Not because you tried to control her, but because you were unshaken by her storm. That's the difference. A man who pleads becomes forgettable. A man who stands still becomes unforgettable. So don't close the door. But don't wait at the threshold either. You're not trying to teach her a lesson. You're not playing a game. You're simply choosing yourself. You're walking forward, not away. Forward into your purpose. Forward into your growth. Forward into the man you're becoming, with or without her beside you. Because real men don't chase love. They attract it, through who they are. And if she's meant to return, she'll come back not to the man who chased her, but to the man who never stopped becoming. So let her walk. Not as a goodbye, but as a test. Not of your affection, but of your foundation. And if that foundation is real, she'll feel it. She'll remember it. And most of all, she'll respect it. Because some men disappear when love gets quiet. But you become louder in your silence. That's not manipulation. That's presence. Part 5, Stand still. Stillness is strength, not weakness. She changes. She pulls back. Her replies grow shorter. Her energy feels colder. And your instinct kicks in. Do something. Reach out. Pull her back. But I want you to hear me clearly. This is not a moment for movement. It's a moment for stillness. You see, most men think standing still is doing nothing. They confuse stillness with passivity. But stillness is not surrender. Stillness is strength. Because when she shifts, she's not waiting for your explanation, she's watching for your foundation. Will you collapse the moment she creates space? Will you fill the silence with noise, or hold it with presence? Understand this. Your reaction tells her more than your words ever could. If you spiral when she pulls back, she knows your peace depends on her attention. But if you stay centered, if your energy doesn't flinch, she starts to wonder. Why isn't he chasing me? Why is he still? him. That wonder creates contrast. And contrast creates curiosity. Most women have met enough men who chase. Men who fold the second the connection feels uncertain. Men who base their identity on being wanted, not on being grounded. But when you remain steady, when your emotions don't mirror hers, something shifts. You become rare. And in a world full of men who react, a man who remains still becomes magnetic. Let me make this clear. Stillness isn't about being cold. It's about being anchored. Not passive, but patient. Not indifferent, but intentional. You're not ignoring her. You're respecting yourself. You're showing her that your center is yours, not hers to control. That's what true emotional leadership looks like. Not needing constant reassurance. Not chasing validation in moments of tension. But holding your ground when the emotional weather changes. And here's the paradox. The less you move, the more she feels your presence. The quieter you become, the louder your energy speaks. Because most men are loud with words and weak in action. But you are quiet with words and powerful in your posture. So when she steps back, don't panic. Don't press. Don't perform. Observe. Breathe. Stay rooted. Let your actions, or your lack of reaction, send the message. I'm still me. With or without your attention. That message, it lands deeper than any romantic plea. Because it says, my value doesn't disappear when you do. This is what separates boys from men. Not how loud they love, but how still they stand. Because any man can hold his ground when love is easy. But the one who holds his ground when things get uncertain, that's the man she can trust. So ask yourself. When the silence comes. When the warmth fades. When the test begins. Do you collapse, or do you rise in stillness? Because stillness is not passive. It's powerful. It's purposeful. And most of all, it's unforgettable. Part 6. Become the man she can't shake. Let your silence speak for you. Every woman, at some point, will test the man she's drawn to. Not through drama, not through arguments, but through distance. And silence. She doesn't do it to be cruel. She does it to see, to feel what remains when the warmth fades. To find out, is your strength real? Or is it just something you wear when things are easy? Because here's the truth. A man who needs constant reassurance isn't strong, he's dependent. A man who panics in silence isn't steady, he's just emotionally exposed. And that's not the kind of man she can trust her heart with. What she's really trying to feel is this. Can I step back, and still feel his presence? And if the answer is yes. If she can still feel your steadiness, your calm, your grounded energy, even when you're gone, then you've become unforgettable. See, most men try to prove they're worthy. They overcommunicate. They explain themselves endlessly. They flood her space trying to hold on to connection. But the men who leave a lasting impression, they don't chase. They build. They don't seek validation. They embody value. They don't fill the silence. They let the silence do the work. Because silence, when used right, carries weight. It says, I don't need to be seen to have presence. I don't need attention to have identity. And that is power. To become a man she can't shake. You don't need to say the perfect words. You don't need to fight for space in her life. You need to become so rooted, so solid, so intentional, that even in your absence, you are felt. That's not manipulation. That's gravity. And gravity isn't loud. It doesn't beg. It doesn't rush. It simply is. So how do you become that kind of man? You stop proving. You start becoming. You grow, not for her, not for revenge, not for reaction, but because evolution is what you owe to yourself. You turn solitude into strength. You turn space into focus. You turn silence into self-mastery. You take the time she gives you, and instead of using it to obsess, you build. You sharpen. You deepen. You become the man whose presence lingers in her memory not because you clung, but because you let go with dignity. Because here's what no one tells you. Absence doesn't make her forget you. Weakness does. But strength, silent strength, becomes a feeling she can't unfeel. She'll feel it when she lies awake and wonders why you didn't chase. She'll feel it when no one else measures up to your calm. She'll feel it when your stillness echoes louder than any other man's noise. And in that echo, she'll remember. Not a man who begged. Not a man who broke. But a man who stood, even when she walked away. That's the man she can't shake. Final conclusion. Don't chase love, build a life so solid, love finds you. She's not testing how much you love her. She's testing how well you lead yourself. She's not pushing you away to punish you. She's stepping back to feel, what kind of man are you when no one's watching? Are you anchored, or are you addicted to approval? Because any man can act confident when she's texting back, when she's warm, when she's present. But the real question is, who are you when things go quiet? Stillness is not weakness. Silence is not rejection. These are tests, not of your words, but of your foundation. She doesn't want a man who needs her to feel worthy. She wants a man whose self-worth is already intact. A man who doesn't just stand tall in her presence, but remains centered in her absence. And when you become that man, not just once, but consistently, you earn something far more powerful than attraction. You earn respect. Because when she pulls away, when her emotions shift, she's watching one thing. Will you collapse, or will you hold your ground? And if you hold your ground, not to prove anything, not to manipulate, but because you live there, she feels something she doesn't feel often. Security. Safety. Presence. You don't need to chase her. You need to chase excellence. You don't need to win her back. You need to become a man no one easily walks away from. This isn't about ego. This is about truth. Because love, real love, doesn't stay with the most desperate man. It stays with the most disciplined one. The one who continues to grow, even when he's alone. The one who doesn't crumble when things get quiet. The one who shows up for himself first, and becomes magnetic because of it. So when she says she needs space, respect it. When she doesn't respond, don't react. And when the doubt creeps in, remind yourself. You are not here to be chosen. You are here to become the kind of man who doesn't need choosing to feel complete. And that is when everything changes. Because when you live from that place. From power, not panic. From purpose, not performance. You stop being an option. You become the standard. So ask yourself. Are you shrinking in silence? Or are you growing in it? Are you reacting to her moods? Or are you staying loyal to your mission? Because if you build a life so full, so grounded, so undeniable, you won't need to pull anyone closer. They will come to you, because they feel the difference. And if she returns, it won't be because you begged. It'll be because your silence had weight. Because your absence revealed her chaos. And your presence had anchored her without even trying. And if she doesn't, you still win. Because you became the kind of man love cannot ignore, even when it tries. Now, brother, if this message hit something inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video. Share it with a man who's tired of shrinking and ready to rise. And subscribe, not just to this channel, but to the kind of life you were meant to lead. Because silence is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your transformation. Stillness is not retreat. It's your rise. And when you build from that place, love won't just return. It will respect you. Let's walk forward. Together.